around that time right here on KAZ Radio, where we have one of the most hottest shows every single Sunday at 3. None other than What's Going On with Lady D and the Anomaly, Sir John. Take it away, Lady D.
Hey, well, good afternoon. It's a wonderful, sunny Sunday afternoon here in Cleveland. Yes, I think we may be getting some warm weather coming. Okay.
Let's hope so.
Is that possible? You think?
Oh, they say.
All right, so I got my winter coat in the car.
This is Cleveland, Northeast Ohio.
Better keep the snow brush in there too.
Just in case. Just in case. You never know.
Oh yeah.
Nothing that you change your mind.
Yes.
Whatever she wants to up here.
Well, we are so blessed this afternoon. We have this wonderful young man here from Jumpstart, Lamont Mackley. Welcome to What's Going On.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Yes, and we're just
great.
thankful to have you here today.
Indeed.
And so we want to go into talking about you.
Okay.
Let's talk about who is Lamont Mackley.
Oh, my goodness. Well, Lamont Mackley is a gentleman that grew up in the Washington, D.C. area, from Arlington, Virginia, which is right outside of D.C. And I was blessed to be in a family of a pastor and a teacher. And I always say that because that really formed who I really am. You know, I have a spiritual side of me which is obviously connected to God, but I also have a very practical side of me that's connected to people to make sure that they have opportunity to learn. And what I learned quickly in life was that part of my responsibility was to do everything I can if I'm blessed to received information, if I'm blessed to have been in a position to get knowledge, to then share that knowledge and give it back. And I found out that through my career, that's been just something that I'm very, very proud of and very thankful to be in a position to be able to do. I, as I said, grew up in that area, went to high school in that area, then went on to college in Boston, public communications, pre-law, got my degree in public communications and pre-law from Boston University. Came back to D.C., went to law school. I went to law school at night and worked in a bank. And that got me going, that got me going in that banking direction. And blessed to have gotten an internship with the bank that actually ended up paying for my law degree. It's kind of a fascinating story because the bank I was working for basically got sued by the state of Virginia, which turned them into creating a internship, which ultimately turned into a tuition for me in law school. So I went to law school. About halfway through law school, I realized I didn't want to do law. And as it turned out, the president of the bank kind of took me under his wing and said, well, you got to do banking. And so I spent 30-some years in banking. And I was president of 4 different community banks across the United States. These are smaller banks, and they're not the PNCs or key banks of the world. But they were significant in number. The largest bank I ran, we got up to about $165 million in assets or controlled assets. And that just put me in a position to learn a lot about credit, to learn a lot about financing, a lot about personal wealth, a lot about commercial business wealth. And I had always been trying to make sure that I give back in those opportunities. And as I said, it's just a part of who I am in that regard. The basic philosophy, if I can help somebody as I pass along, then my living won't be in vain, and that's been what I've been sort of practicing. I got to Cleveland, and you all might remember when Shore Bank came into existence. This was back in the early 90s. And I was asked to come and be president of the bank at Shore Bank, and I was there for its beginning creation, and I was there for seven years. And again, that was about community development, trying to figure out how to use a regulated entity to help drive economic development in areas where the banking community wasn't as engaging as maybe they should be. Sparking through, again, regulated assets and vehicles, the opportunity to revive the community. And so that's how I got to Cleveland. And as I was about to leave Cleveland, my wife said, "Nope, the kids are in school. Not a good time for you to leave. Can you do something else?" And I started doing some consulting, and that was going very well. And I actually went to Jumpstart to try to cut a contract with them, and next thing I knew, I had a job. So, which was a blessing as well, which my wife was very pleased with. But 8 years later, I've been in a position, going back to my theme in life, going back to the ties that I have from a spiritual concept where God puts you in position to utilize what I believe your giftings are
Right.
and your passion.
Correct.
And so I'm able now to utilize all of that knowledge, all of that banking knowledge that I have about businesses and wealth creation and all those little secrets that I've learned. I've been in the back of the room where we talked about a person's deal, and they don't even know what the reality was. Now I can bring those secrets out and say, okay, this is what you got to do if you're trying to get this kind of a investment or this kind of a loan. These are the things that you have to understand what the thinking is that's going to help make them a decision positively for you.
Okay.
And so I'm able to now bring those out and explain those and help people with that. And now God put me in a position with a job where I don't, well, we're on the radio and TV. This is unfortunate because they might want to take my salary back, but I'm getting paid to actually do something I love to do.
That is wonderful.
Helping people, businesses in this particular case, get insights that they need to help develop and drive their business. And so it's a blessing to be in your passion and to get paid for it. So.
Yeah.
Well, that
Probably
is-
more than you wanted to hear.
This is so real because you're letting our audience know that, whatever you're passionate about, if you persistence.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
if you just follow your dream
Yes.
and have God in your life,
Yes,
He will put you at the right place at the right time, and
absolutely.
Doors will open.
Doors
and
will open.
yes,
I
and
totally
good
believe
is
that.
just never lost.
I totally believe that.
Okay.
And yes, I totally believe. I know God is works in people's lives sometimes when they don't even know that God is working in their
Yes.
lives, and I take advantage of the intersections to do what I can to give them the insights and knowledge that I've been blessed to receive to kind of help them get to the next stage of their business or their life, or whatever their situations might be, where I can help fill in. Probably also just as important is even if you can't specifically do something for that particular business or person, getting them to the resources or the
Exactly.
That
people
can.
that can.
Yes.
That's when you're in what business and the opportunities that I've had, you meet so many different people, and so you can might be the connection that they need as
That they
opposed
need.
to
Networking is so
Right.
powerful.
It's so
You've
powerful.
got to get out there and
Well, it's
networking.
community and get to know your community, people in your community.
Yes.
That's what networking is about.
Absolutely.
Now, not everybody in our audience might know what Jumpstart does or
Yes.
what Jumpstart is. Can you explain?
Yes.
And where is Jumpstart first located at?
Jumpstart is, first of all, is located at 6701 Carnegie Avenue, which is right there in Midtown. It's we're kind of in the off of Carnegie. We're not right on Carnegie directly. You have to kind of come into the parking lot there, but between most people know where Popeyes is on 71st, and before you get to before you go too far to the ice cream, Pierre's ice
Right,
cream.
right.
Yeah,
I've
we're
been
right
to
in
your
that
location.
block. Okay, fantastic.
Yes, yes.
We're right there. And Jumpstart has been in existence since 2004. But its first entree into the community was one sponsored by the citizens of Ohio through the Third Frontier. They did a charter where they approved the Third Frontier, and the Third Frontier was a organization that was created to bring technology to Ohio. The first frontier being agriculture, the second frontier being industrial technology or industrial revolution, or industry. The people of Ohio, led by some folks back in the 80s, determined that unless Ohio's economy was going to get behind the rest of the country if it didn't focus on innovation and technology. So the Third Frontier was created and commissioned to create organizations like Jumpstart to help innovation, to help new ideas be created, and then help bring resources to those new ideas so that they could grow up in Ohio. Just like we helped the agricultural community grow up and the industrial community grow up, well, some of those things went away. And now you need another industry, and technologies and innovation and new ideas were coming through these companies, and we wanted to be a part of it. The state of Ohio and the citizens of Ohio wanted to be a part of that. So for the first 10 years, Jumpstart was really about helping technology companies come into existence, and it's a powerful area, and we still do that. But about 5 years or so ago, citizens here in Northeast Ohio said, some of the successes that you've had with technology companies and getting them to grow and getting their job creation and helping entrepreneurs develop plans and find capital, isn't that the same thing that non-tech companies need? and aren't some of the same tools that you're using there, can they not be applied to non-tech companies? And so we said yes. And I tell you, this is something else that people don't know about Northeast Ohio. There's a great philanthropic community and foundational community. By the way, Jumpstart is a nonprofit.
Okay.
And so they said, hey, if that's true, we'll give you some funding or help you with some funding to kind of create a new part of Jumpstart that focuses on what we call basically our core city clients, non-tech businesses that are here in the city of Cleveland and inner-ring suburbs that need assistance and access to some of those resources and tools that help make non-tech companies successful. And so that started that journey, and I'm involved in I've been on both sides of those operations at Jumpstart, but I'm now focused on the non-tech side or the core city side of the business. And so on both of those sides, what we do is offer advisory services. We connect people to the other resources that are here in Northeast Ohio, which I'll come back to in a moment, which are so vital and important. And then what we do is with entrepreneurs, we help an entrepreneur lay out a plan. We call it milestone or key tasks, key value-added tasks to their businesses that they need to complete in order to move the business forward to a place where it gets to the next level. So we're helping them. What is it that you have to do that's going to be something that's important to the business to help get it from A, where you are, to B, to the next stage? Because the idea is to create healthy, growing, sustainable businesses in Northeast Ohio and in Ohio, whether they're tech or non-tech. And here's the other piece of this. Quite frankly, the idea is that if we create these kinds of businesses and they're healthy, guess what they're doing? They're feeding people's family. They're creating jobs. Oh, they're creating wealth. Oh my goodness, Oh, here's one. Legacy of wealth, transition of wealth.
Right.
I mean, it just becomes, you start a snowball effect within some of our communities that may not be as healthy right now. They get healthy because the businesses start to become healthy. The families get healthy because we got income streams now and you got a job. Right. You see where we're going with this. Right. And you see why the foundational communities and others, citizens here in Northeast Ohio, obviously the city of Cleveland, the mayors and his initiatives and programs, there are just so many people who are interested in if we can make it a place where business is thriving, we'll solve a lot of our social issues. We certainly will change the atmosphere here in our communities and neighborhoods. So that's what we're really trying to do. And I love being a part of it. I really do.
That is awesome.
You probably already feel it because it's a passion of mine. I said earlier about if I can help people, how can I do that? So this just allows me to make the connections and to share my experiences and to help people help them get their dreams.
So if someone comes up with I guess they already have an established business when they come to
or
Jumpstart.
an idea. They can have an idea.
Okay. So they can. Both.
We've had people come in and say to me on a Monday morning, say, Mr. Mackley, I had this dream on Saturday night about this, and I want to get started. Boom. We take them. Or someone might have might have a company that's been running for years and they're stuck and they're trying to figure out what to do with
how to move.
How to move. Or someone will come and say, I have an opportunity to buy this business, but I don't know. How do I think about that? In terms of whether this is a good idea or not. Others will say, I've been running my business for years. I can't get the family to, I'm getting older now. They don't seem to want the business. What do I do?
Okay.
And one of the big things that I'm into too is I don't want us to start over again. We have a lot in the African American community. Unfortunately, someone would build a business, get it to a certain place, and when they die, the business dies.
Right.
As opposed to transferring that wealth or that status of that or that asset
that
status
brand,
of the asset to somebody else in our community. If it's not going to be a relative, to somebody else who can take the work that they've done and take it to the next level. As opposed to letting it die and then having to start over again.
Right.
So if they come to me, they're asking me to, whatever stage they are, they're asking me usually to give them some insights in terms of the next steps. And that's where we start connecting them to the right advisory services that make sense. And it could be Jumpstart, or it could be a host of other organizations here in town, which is the other hidden gem about Northeast Ohio.
You mentioned that before.
It is, yeah. We are loaded with organizations from the Urban League to ECDI to Magnet to OAI to just, I'm going to say there are 26 organizations that in some President's Council, I could just go on and on. The Hispanic Business Center, all of these organizations that in one way or another can assist a small business in helping them move their business forward. So Jumpstart doesn't necessarily have all of the answers, but we do know where the resources are that can say, okay, you need this. Go see, Hispanic Business Center and such, and he'll take care and take that piece. Oh, by the way, you need to get a prototype built. You probably want to go over to see Magnet because Magnet is the best in town at kind of working on your early prototypes and et cetera. So we're helping them find where they need to go in order in the community, what resources are probably the best match for them to then make the next steps. But we're not leaving them alone. We're watching them. We're actually, there overseeing the process, making sure that things are going well, and so that they can move their organization to the next level.
So you're like an ongoing counselor.
That would be the case. That would be the case. And making sure that the resources we refer them to are good matches and it makes sense for whatever they're trying to achieve, and they're getting what they need to kind of move the organization forward. And we do this both on the tech and the non-tech side or the core city side. And I'm thrilled about it because it just opens doors. This is fairly new. I say fairly new in that sometimes our organizations in Northeast Ohio, including Jumpstart, were working sort of in a isolation of the other organizations, and it made it difficult for the entrepreneur. He's got to go to 26 organizations to get what he needs, as opposed to the organization saying, "Okay, let's come together and really figure out how we can collaborate together to really focus on these entrepreneurs to help them move forward." So we're doing a lot of that.
Me and one of my some of my colleagues last night, we were at the Ruby Ball, and it was a really great event. And so you had your political people walking around, with their stuff, and then you had other small business, startup businesses were there, networking, and we sat and we looked at one another and we said, there's so many different businesses or organizations that pretty much a lot of them are just doing the same thing. If they could just come together as one, they would just really be have a greater impact.
Yeah, I
collaborate.
Yeah, we want the collaboration. Definitely want the collaboration. This is interesting that you should bring this up because some people think that it's better to have all the organizations literally merge together. But here's what I found with my experience. My experience has told me, and I think you've seen it in other industries, but we don't think about it quite the same way. So somebody will say, well, why do you go to Cleveland State, versus going to, Ohio State versus going to Tri-C versus et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
Okay.
Each one of those schools are offering the same subjects perhaps, but they're doing it with a different flavor. And that flavor relates to the person and their needs at their time and their season of their life. I say the same thing about churches, for example.
Okay.
We got all these churches. I hear people say this all the time. I have a good friend of mine who says it all the time. He says, why don't you just merge? They're just burning up all these resources. It could be one church. It should be just one church. Didn't God want one church? And I said, well, the problem with that is that the one church probably won't attract all the different people. So you got to have different
ways.
There you go. So I think about this as it relates to all these organizations that on the surface look like they're offering the same thing, but when you pull back the curtains a little bit, the flavor is a little different, the style's a little different, the approach is different. And what I've seen with some of the mergers that happens is some of the things that worked for one population or group then get lost when they come to that organization because it's not being represented in the same way. So I'll give you some of the, just to bring it out just a little bit more. So what the Hispanic Business Center may be doing, even though it's doing it with entrepreneurs, may be a little different than what the President's Council is doing or what Jumpstart is doing or what the Urban League is doing, although we all might be offering the services.
Right, okay.
The Women's Business Center, well, they focus on women. So people say, well, there's business. Why do they got to be there? There's a little different approach. There are issues that we recognize right away that we may not appreciate in terms of a woman trying to get into a business. Start a business, exactly right. And so what are the considerations? And what are the things that an organization, even a support organization, might need to be sensitive to with a woman that might not be a consideration in our society for a male? Right. And you know where I'm going with that.
Yes.
Right, yes.
Well, we offer you're supposed to be here between 9 and 5 and blah, blah, blah. And who cares about the kids? So you said you want to be a business person. So they offer maybe some more flexibility because they recognize that this woman wants to be an entrepreneur. She just happens to be a single parent. So how do we assist and do that? We're teaching the same thing, but we're being a whole lot more flexible and sensitive to the issue. I'll give you another one in Jumpstart. We've been working hard with our outreach program and trying to really be more attentive to the African American community. And when we sat back and thought about that, part of what we needed to do was create a mentorship program of mentors, and this is a formal structured program, of mentors that look like mentees.
Yes.
And when somebody would say they're from Glenville or Huff, not have somebody say, well, why do you have a business there? Which is really in it, which tells you right away that they're not interested in that. They're trying to say, well, if you're going to thrive, you can't be there.
Right.
That's personal insult to the entrepreneur and to that person's community. Whereas somebody from that community and also happens to be of the same race might say, understand what that person and entrepreneurs are trying to do. In fact, he grew up in that community.
Exactly.
So he or she grew up.
He wants to stay there and help his neighborhood.
So, we're all offering, in a sense, the same a lot of times, but there's a little nuances and changes that are so important to be recognized and
to make that individual successful.
Make that individual successful and to pour into the tools. And I think it actually makes us better. One of the other things that I'm a big believer in, and we've brought a lot of this into the style of Jumpstart, is being actively inclusive and really pushing forward on diversity. And that's a theme that Jumpstart, and I have to applaud our leadership on this, has been after, since Ray Leach, our CEO, has been there. How to do that. And it's not easy sometimes to do because you have to be intentional about it if you're
Right.
serious, not just casual about it, but intentional.
Intentional.
And I'm not saying we've been excellent at it yet. We're trying to be excellent at it, but I love it that it's part of our goals for our organization.
It is.
I'm a product of being hired into it to help make that happen. So I believe it, and others are there too with the serious mission of making it.
And
Making
that's
it
so
happen.
important.
Totally.
You know, inclusiveness, diversity. On Netflix, plug. Whatever. I just got finished watching Pele. I did not like soccer when I was young.
Right, right.
Football was my favorite sport, but my father, because of my football team, high school team sucked. My father, and you knew I
Had to
hate
throw
to
that
lose.
Right, had to throw that in, right.
You know, and my father mentioned about soccer.
Right.
You know, and I think Pele was somewhere doing this thing in New York or whatever, and we actually drove all the way there to see
Wow.
it, and that's when I began to like soccer. But the thing from the movie I loved was how his father kept on telling him that, you know, they gave you that nickname to make fun of you, how to flip it around,
Right.
how to flip around and include them. And made it and turn it around.
Right.
And how his father kept on hitting on the diversity and inclusive,
Yes.
because I guess at that time Brazil was going through something because
Oh,
they
yeah.
lost in a couple of years earlier, and so they were trying to run away from their roots and go to their European roots
Right.
instead of their the African American or African roots and their Portuguese roots and staying there. And how Pele, what was so important is that he listened to his father and he carried that through. But by him carrying that through, brought that whole nation back
Yep.
to their
Yep.
and their whole thing about inclusiveness,
Yes.
about diversity.
Yes.
They were actually made fun of in the national news in 1950. Was it 80? 4? They went in 52, so I think they came back in 54 or something like that. They were made fun of, or 58. They were made fun of their difference,
Wow.
how the team was so different
Right.
from African American to European looking, Italian, Portuguese looking. They were made fun of because some of them had some defects because they had to work when they were children, and one guy had a hand that was smashed, so he really didn't have one. Their goalie actually had only 4 fingers on his right hand.
Wow. Wow.
The goalie on the world stage was
I
missing
got
a
you.
finger.
I got
You know how
Yeah, no, that's important. That's
it's important.
Yeah.
This guy was
Right.
one of the best.
Right.
You
Right.
know, and they got made fun of all their differences. One player had scoliosis and was playing soccer.
Wow.
You
Wow.
know, and they made how the national news and not just international news made and pointed out their differences.
Wow.
But diversity won
Yes.
the World Cup.
Yes.
Inclusiveness.
Yes.
Bringing everybody together.
Yes. And now we have a society, speaking of that, which has created even more opportunity for the African American population as well. Now we have a society where we're worldwide. And so diversity is absolutely super important.
Right.
I would say it's so important and so necessary and needed and to be understood and be encouraged and celebrated. Because we are in a situation where economically you're not going to just
You
be
got to
dependent
be.
on the
You
U.S.
have to be.
You're just not.
You have to. Diversity is the key.
Diversity, inclusiveness is
You
the
know,
key.
you
I
got 1
totally agree
billion
with that.
Chinese.
You got it. You got
And
it.
you
You
can't,
got it.
if you don't have
You got it.
diversity,
Yes.
if
Yep.
you're thinking going global or even community, I mean,
Yep.
you gotta have
We
diversity.
already are touched by it. We
you
just
got
sometimes we don't want
Indians
to
with
accept
some- right,
it. Right.
and that's the thing.
Yep.
So yeah, it's good business sense.
Yes, it is. Absolutely good business and absolutely necessary. No
I
question.
want to ask you, is there a cost
Oh, yes.
to come to Jumpstart and get this helpful resource?
Well,
Do you charge? Is there a charge?
there is actually no charge. And that's another great thing. It's a lot of the
No charge?
No charge. Free. Let me
All you entrepreneurs,
free.
Free?
FREE. Free.
Really?
FREEE. Free. We'll give you another E on it. Yeah. There are some limited services for organizations that have sort of gone to another place, high level, and
Okay.
they're rolling in revenue
Okay.
or income. But that's a limited group, and those people want to pay. I mean,
Okay,
because
right.
they're
So
looking
just
for the service.
coming up with your
But
idea.
you come up with an idea, or you're an up and running business, and you're looking for some assistance. Jumpstart is a nonprofit. It is funded by, as I said, the Third Frontier, but also other philanthropic organizations in town, one of which is the Key Bank Foundation. Key Bank's a major supporter of Jumpstart. They just, we had an announcement of $24 million for a 3-year commitment to Jumpstart and its activities. The Cleveland Foundation's another major supporter. I know I'm going to leave out. I'm thinking about my wall, the wall that's in Jumpstart, and it's about easily 30 donors that have supported us. So,
Okay.
but City of Cleveland is a supporter in terms of its engagement. So, but all of them are doing it, supporting Jumpstart to support the ecosystem and entrepreneurs here locally.
Okay.
So we don't charge for our services because they are basically paying the freight, if you will, for us to engage in that. And their theory is that to the extent that, and I guess this is really the roots of our name, to the extent that Jumpstart can jumpstart entrepreneurs in terms of helping them,
So you're actually
they're paying us to help entrepreneurs because ultimately
Get that idea out
get that
there.
idea out there, get the improve the companies that are already up and running, again to stimulate the economy. I mean, the theory is now you have to buy into the theory. I'm all in.
Okay.
A lot of other people into that if the neighborhoods and our communities and our regions and our businesses are rolling strong in those neighborhoods and in those communities, then the byproduct of that is going to be more revenue, more sales tax, more people being hired by the companies because they have more business and they have more money, more things are being
citizens
bought,
staying.
more citizens. There you are, you getting
yeah.
it? More citizens staying,
It's
more
helping the
houses being
economy.
built, more people wanting to be here, and the neighborhood starting to flourish, which will create more businesses. You see the
Right.
Exactly.
as opposed to the snowball going the other way.
Right. Moving out and
Exactly.
leaving vacancy.
There you got it.
You know, because
You got
everybody doesn't. You don't. You know, some 55th. That's their home. If
Right.
that's their home, that's their home.
That's their home,
They
yes.
choose to be there. Then how come their surroundings can't be just as nice as a Shaker Heights
It should
or
be.
a Beechwood? It shouldn't be that way. You know, I saw something very interesting on my way coming to the studio. I was coming down Fair Hill, and I didn't catch the name of the organization, but it was just beautiful. There were families. And I mean, whole families, even the baby in the stroller. And they had on these lime green vests, and they were out with their picks, and they were cleaning up the area.
Wow.
The whole strip all the way down Fair Hill, going down the
great.
hill. They were cleaning all of that
That's
up.
great.
And the families and the kids, they were bonding, and they had a little tent, so I guess that's where you would go and check in. And I said, this is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I would love to see something like this happen into just the neighborhoods.
Yes.
You know, your Union, all the areas. You know, just take a block.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and people on the block get together and get the families and the kids together and come together and clean up their surroundings.
Absolutely.
You know, because if you do that, look how much you've got accomplished.
So you tapped onto something that's so positive about the businesses, and that is that let's think about that for a moment. If you get the businesses and they start to become stronger, then we want them to become good corporate citizens too, because they're going to care about their community. So then they can help sponsor things like that. They can become engines in their own community to support activities that are going to be doing positive things for the community. And they can create alliances one with the other to make that happen with already established.
Positive actions.
Yeah.
You
Yes,
know.
absolutely.
I think that's
will
called
help the
Earth
community.
Is it
persona.
Earth
Earth
Day?
Day, okay, yeah.
Okay, because I saw it and I was like,
That was
this was
April
just beautiful,
Right,
you know, to
right.
see this. And they were all out and, they had the cause I'm like, what's going on? Everybody got the
Earth Day.
lime green
Right,
jackets and stuff.
right.
And as I rode
They're
down
making
the
it
hill,
happen.
it was more, and it was very nice.
That's just
But it's
wonderful.
like you said, if jump-starting businesses and communities like that, if the business can get stronger, it all rolls.
Correct.
People, the positive action of the business will transfer to positive or the community's attitude about itself.
Oh, so
And
that's
that is
exactly
the
correct.
change I think strong businesses
Absolutely
do
right.
in a community is change that attitude. The attitude would change. People will
Yep.
start doing it. People will be getting jobs at that business, and it all flows.
And guess what? Guess what? Because small businesses, in the U.S. is really the fundamental engine of employment. Even though people think of big business, you see the bigness of that business and you see how many people they employ. But if you add up all of the small businesses, they are employing more people than the big businesses.
Right.
But here's the other thing that's so powerful about creating. This is why I think we get so much support, not only Jumpstart, but others in our community that are helping entrepreneurs. Because the entrepreneurs tend to hire from their own community. The businesses hire from them. So if I have a business in Huff, I'm looking for residents of Huff to hire into my business.
Right.
It becomes self-sustaining as opposed to, well, let me hire some people from Solon. Let me hire,
Right.
no disrespect to Solon.
Right, right.
But let me hire some people from somewhere. No. We want
You
people
tend
here.
to hire
Right.
people who are coming through the door.
Exactly.
Well,
exactly.
we had a young man that was running for a councilman of his ward. I believe his store was on Cedar, Jeans, a beverage store. And that was his story, that he hired within his community and he taught them all about running that business to banking in the whole 9 yards.
Oh,
And it was just beautiful. You have something, and I want to ask you about Core City. Tell us about Core City. You have something coming up on May 9th?
Oh, yes,
Let's
yes.
talk about that.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked about that. First of all, the Core City, the branding, if you will, what we do, that is our brand for anybody who wants to come in. Non-tech. You got it. Thank you. Non-tech business could be, quote unquote, they call it the mom, pop, whatever. It's kind of, you will say it that way. It could be a business that is been in business for 20 years and it's got, 200,000. It could be another business of 10 million. It doesn't make any difference. Any kind of business like that, we're open to help those businesses to drive. Once you sign up and you're a part of Core City, we then are doing three things for you: giving you advisory services, creating these milestones, and introducing you to resources throughout the community to help drive your business forward. But we have other types of programs within Jumpstart to also support the entrepreneur. One of them is called our Impact Program.
Okay.
Our Impact Program, I love it. Our Impact Program is an intense 12-week program where we take certain entrepreneurs and we say, you get selected into this program and you're going to get poured into even more resources. We're going to put you through some intense weekly meeting and homework assignments, and we're just going to give you, I call it, more wind in your sail. We're just going to, it's like you're in a specialty program. At the end of this specialty program, it's going to be crazy, you'll hear this in a minute. At the end of this specialty program, they have to pitch. And on May 9th, they are going to come and do a 12-minute pitch to the open audience. And they're using their PowerPoints and
So
all
like
of
an
that.
open Shark Tank?
It's like an open very well stated, absolutely. And it's supposed to be an investor pitch, by the way.
Awesome.
And these are Core City non-tech opportunities. We have 5 of them. There's 5 selected to do this each time. This will be the 5th time we've done the program. So
Okay.
they'll be graduating from the program, and there'll be now the 25 graduates. And we've had just wonderful success with them. The idea is to just push them to, with this extra activity, push them to another level even more quickly than the basic Core City program could allow.
Wow.
We have over 450 or plus individuals and businesses that have signed up for the Core City program, but 25 of them have gotten this special treatment. Now, let me show you how special it is.
Okay.
The winner of this, the pitch contest, gets $10,000.
Awesome.
The other 4 get $2,500.
That is excellent.
I remember when I was talking to one of the people trying to get them to apply, and she said to me, okay, let me get this straight, Mr. Macklin. I go through a 12-week course, and the tuition is you pay me for going through the course. I said, that's about right.
Right.
If you complete this course, we'll pay you, because even if you didn't win that night on May 9th,
Right.
you still get $2,500 just for going through the course and completing the whole part. And if you happen to win that night, you get $10,000.
How motivating.
Wow.
I mean, it's like
That's
I
very
call it
motivating.
that's a reverse. I mean, it's like a reverse school. Your tuition is paid basically, but you're going to get it in cash. But here's the thing, and this is what I'm most proud of. Those 25 have now been put in a position where they can really do more impact in the community quicker. And all of them have grown. All of them, you can talk to them. I actually bought a brochure just to share with you. And some of these individuals, they have their little testimonies in here and et cetera. Waverly, yes, of Urban Cup Barbershop, he was the winner last year of the $10,000.
Right.
And one of the things that he's so proud of is that it helped formulate for him. He owns 3 barbershops. He wants to have, wants to have 10 in all surrounding neighborhoods in the city of Cleveland. And he wants to be able to create barbers who are independent entrepreneurs themselves in all of these barbershops. So that's the kind, you see that's the kind of impact. Can you imagine that kind of an impact throughout our community like that with other businesses like that? And he happened to win the contest. He got $10,000, and he's going to have substantial impact on multiple people and multiple families here in the city of Cleveland with that. And there are others. There are other examples of this too. There's so many positive examples of entrepreneurs.
I saw a face there that looked familiar.
Okay.
On that first
Okay,
page.
just-
Is that Chris Smith?
You did see Chris Smith. Yes, you've had Chris Smith on the show. I
Yes,
understand it.
that's my partner.
Yes,
That's my
Chris.
buddy.
Chris is a great guy.
Yes.
Chris is obviously, I don't know if I'm in trouble with Operation Hope, but we recruited Chris.
I know, I
We got
know.
Chris in because Chris was fundamental when he was working for Operation Hope. Going back to what I said earlier about collaboration,
Correct.
Yes.
Chris was doing and working with people who wanted to start businesses. Some of them already had the business in their home, but they needed a little bit more help stepping out that nest. Even and Chris got them before they would even think about coming to a jump start. Because a jump start from their mind, and I'll put it in quotation marks, was a little bit intimidating. I don't know if I'm gonna go up there and talk to those folks. I don't know them. I heard about Mr. Maggie. Look like he's a nice guy, but I don't know. They look like they're gonna pour something on me I can't handle. Chris would get to them through Operation Hope earlier and encourage them. And then they became a pipeline opportunity for Jumpstart and for other organizations in town, like the Women's Business Center and Hispanic Business Center and Urban League and the President's Council. He was actually, through the organization Operation Hope, helping them get their financial act together, their business plan together.
He helped me with mine.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about. So you get it.
I met
You
him.
get it.
Me and Chris, we took a lot of leadership classes at PNC Fairfax. And it's so funny because
absolutely.
I remember Chris would have to speak, and he was very soft-spoken.
Yes, he is.
And I would say, speak up, talk louder, they can't hear you.
Yes, exactly right.
Yeah.
But my, that was what I was saying a little earlier about the different flavors of how we all know of. I'll give you another example. Just in the education side, we know of people who've had to start to go to Tri-C first before they would step out to go to another four-year college. So they get their associates first, then they get their bachelor's, then they go get their doctorate, and it started with Tri-C because that was where they needed to be.
Yes,
And we said, well, that's education. Why didn't you just jump to Ohio State? Well, they
weren't ready.
They weren't ready for that. At that point in time in their life.
You have to go where you're going to be comfortable.
Exactly.
Because everybody learns and we all grow at a different pace.
You said it. So those entrepreneurs now went through that. They come into Jumpstart or other organizations in our network, and now they continue to grow because they get stronger and stronger. They get the resources they need from the various partners in the area, and they're able to take off. Fortunate for us, Chris came over to Jumpstart, but fortunate for us also, Operation O is still thriving, and they rehired another individual who's actually a part of our network and doing outstanding work as well. So, excuse me, and doing outstanding work as well. So, that relationship continues a little differently than when Chris was there, but still continues.
Another flavor.
Right.
Another flavor,
Yes.
So, but that's a perfect example of the collaboration, interaction between organizations in this Northeast Ohio region, trying to give entrepreneurs an opportunity to take advantage of the resources. And you know, you hit on something earlier I wanted to comment on, these free resources. One of the most frustrating things to me as an African American is when I don't see African Americans taking advantage of resources that are available for them, free resources, important resources that are available for them to take their business to the next level. Are you crazy?
Well, that's going to be my question. What is the reason why you think or you know that African American business owners that are working out of their home or whatever don't take advantage of these resources?
Ooh, that is a heavy question. So I'm going to give you a couple of quick insights. I think, and I'll just say it this way, there are some cultural challenges with us. It goes back to our history, I think, in this country,
Right.
and I'll leave that for a
Sure.
moment. But I also think that there's an excuse mentality sometimes that we put up that counterparts in other races don't put up. They go just the opposite of what we do. So I have found a lot of entrepreneurs when I finally get to talk to them and I say, you need to do this. Well, I can't do that. I can't do this, can't do it. Most of the entrepreneurs who come in from other races, when I give them assignment, they're taking it on right
They
away.
have the more can-do spirit
That
we
you-
have a tendency of having an excuse.
Exactly.
Or they can't do.
They can't do.
And I
There's a
think
difference
again,
in can do and can do.
I think it does go back to those cultural
It's
situations.
it's problematic, and you know we have to overcome it because it is holding us back.
Is that
And
fear?
It's fear. It's
It's-
partly brought
yeah.
on by fear. It's partly brought on by failure.
The
And not being able to take
mistakes.
the risk. From a spiritual concept, I know a lot of people. You know, a lot of things are faith. You got to step out. You believe
Yes,
it.
you
You believe it. You got to achieve it.
You
You got to
gotta
do it. You got to
receive it.
work it. You know. And here's the other thing. You got to, as an entrepreneur and business person, you got to say to yourself that, you know what, I might trip up along this way, and I might fall down. This may not work. But if it doesn't work, I'm going to pivot. We call it a pivot. Or I'm going to make another move, and I'm going to keep on going.
Right.
And what happens to us is we are scared of failure. We shouldn't be scared. We should look at failure as basically a learning experience.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
you
what
know,
did- what
like
did I
we always
learn?
say here, a mistake is not a mistake. It's an opportunity.
It's an opportunity.
Yes.
Clean
And I
it
think
up.
that's the thing
Dust
we have to
yourself
change.
off.
But again, it goes back to that cultural thing and everything we have to come through.
Right.
So now we're in that part, I think, Afro Americans, that we need to more and more in our schools, in our families, teach that.
Yeah,
A
absolutely.
mistake is an opportunity. Do the pivot. It doesn't matter how many times you fail, because you're going to learn from each one, and
Right.
each one's going to give you an opportunity.
It's-
Each one is cracking that door wider and wider for your dream to come true.
If you
You gotta do it.
Is there a difference between the older generation versus this new generation, far as being aggressive and going after what it is they want to accomplish? Because they're not fearful and other things that they do in life.
Yes, that's
You know.
truth. That is very true. That is, that's very interesting you should say that, because that's a good example. That's a good example. So I'm gonna go to the extremes here just for the purpose of illustration. So a lot of people will say, well, we've been successful at sports and stuff because we've seen the success and we're comfortable in that environment of success. We need to get comfortable in the environment of business success. And quite frankly, our history shows that we were, going back to your statement,
Yeah.
we were comfortable in that environment. Somehow or another, it got off the tracks. Some people say it happened with integration. Some people say that. Others will say that it's always been there, but we didn't know how to take advantage of it. Others will say, the other one that I hear a lot of is how we, unlike other societies and other races, we have never, and again, this goes back to the cultural shipping of slavery and the breakup and et cetera.
Jim Crow
We
law.
have not engaged into the structure of family where we will come together and do stuff together and mean it. So some of our friends, I'm not saying anything out of school, some cultures, you'll find 20 relatives living in the same house, all
Exactly.
sacrificing running this business. You
Yes.
know, until they get it to a certain point and spin out the other business, and then that person will have all those people. We tend to be more. I got mine.
Yeah,
and I'm
very
not,
selfish.
I'm
Well,
suspicious
it's
of
not
you.
so much selfish,
you know.
but again, it goes back to that cultural thing. You got to think for more than 300 years, you had slavery where you didn't have anything. So anything you got, or you can keep away from the master, I got mine. And then Jim Crow came along, which was even worse than slavery. They took anything that you said that it was yours. So
It's tough.
it's tough. It's going through all that. Then come and help build this nation, which many people don't understand or want to, admit. But
Right.
I'm getting to my point. But my point is this: that's a lot to go through, and no other in this country, nation, or race had to go through all that. So in the short time when we actually could vote, and which is really, I say the year was 1970, to now, we have moved great strides. The thing is, keep pushing it and move it and make it faster. That's one of the things I am very, with China. One of the things I am amazed about China.
Here we go.
You got
Get to your
something?
point.
But it's my point.
Okay.
My point is they got 20 people living in the house, but at
Right.
the same time, the way how fast they did their industrial revolution.
Right.
It took us 400 years for ours. It only took them 40 years for
Yeah.
theirs. So it
Good
took
point.
us 1970 to now, because that's really for the Afro American now, in this 21st century we have to look at. We got to stop looking back towards slavery. We have to stop looking back at Jim Crow. We had the 70s to 80s to have excuses. Excuses are over.
Yep.
Now it's to trying to push our young ones, and we have brilliant minds out there.
We do.
Brilliant minds in Huff. Brilliant minds down there on 93rd and Kinsman.
Yes.
Brilliant minds. It's time to say, hey, if you want to do it, you can do it. Just like you said.
Well, we
believe
know.
you can achieve it.
I've said to this, and I know some people criticize this thought, but I'm brave enough to say it. When you look at the criminal community in our community,
Yes.
Very savvy.
they're very savvy.
Yes.
They're running organizations.
Yes.
They are running big business.
Yeah.
Now they have some crude ways of doing it. I guess
Right.
I will say that. When they have
they're
a
doing it. So-
human resource problem, they solve it differently than we do. But what I'm saying to that is that that's organizational skills.
Yeah.
If those organizational skills were applied in a different way,
Yes.
and if some of those individuals were educated on top of natural business skills that they already had that they're applying in a criminal
Naturally.
endeavor, boom! I mean,
Right. And if you get those,
Our
teams, I
talent is
think,
there.
get those individuals, you don't have to do illegal things.
right,
Right.
right.
In your
Very.
neighborhood, there is opportunity so much. So much.
Ooh, you got
Come
me all
on, Larry.
excited.
Larry got something to say.
Got,
Come
got
on,
me all
Larry.
excited. I come back to my point.
My question is this, and I wasn't trying to interrupt you.
I know.
But my question is this: the intimidation factor of going to Jumpstart and having to produce books and taxes and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Do you help in those areas? Are you
Yes.
more compassionate for those
Yes.
people that don't have those things?
Yes, we've been working to be, as I call it, user-friendly,
Okay.
more inviting. I am very, very proud of Jumpstart, particularly over the last 2 years in particular, where we have focused on being very inviting to get people to engage with us and to see us differently. Because I think in our years, to be quite frank, when we were doing the tech businesses, we could be very intimidating. We could be
Yes.
like, well, if you don't have a technology, you don't need to come here. That's so. And a lot of that is unfortunately bled over in our reputation. So we spend a lot of time working through that, and I know now that we've gotten to another level of respect within the organization and from the outside community. We're now doing more of an outreach scenario, and I'm quite frankly responsible for this at Jumpstart for the core city side, and that is now we're saying let's get out in the community
Right.
and actually bring some of our resources
Wonderful.
in the community. So we're
Right.
partnered with Burton Bell Carr. They just had their box spot presentation with their pitch contest and trying to get 6 to 7 entrepreneurs into their new retail location on Kinsman. Well, we were a part of engaging with them to select and finally select the 5 or 6, I think it's 7 actually, 7 entrepreneurs. And we were out in the community with them, helping with that particular great project that they have in mind, and being a supportive part of that. We are now going to be partnering with the CDCs and churches and sororities and fraternities and other organizations that want to help entrepreneurs. And we want to say, you tell us what resources we can bring out to your place, to your location, to your neighborhood, to your community. If it fits in line with the things that we can do, we'll be glad to do it.
Wonderful.
Well, have you thought about going and
To eliminate
getting
that, to eliminate that intimidation factor, to be more
Right.
sensitive to people.
our
That's awesome.
junior high schools and high schools, because those students, everyone's not going to go to college.
Right.
And I think the sooner that a student can learn and get this idea in their mind, have you guys thought about going out, introducing this Jumpstart into
Yes.
the school systems?
Absolutely.
Because I think it would have a great impact.
You're so
because
true
you
about
can
that.
save so many and start getting the wheels turning for these students.
Absolutely. So I never turn down the opportunities. So I'm glad this is on radio, TV. I never turn down the opportunity to talk to students for 2 reasons. One, I want to engage their minds, excite them. One of my big things that I speak about all the time is exposure, because a lot of times our students are just not exposed to enough.
Right.
Exactly.
And I think it's our obligation to expose them, think about other things beyond,
Right.
where you are,
Right.
and share with them those type of things. So I do that with the students. But the other part of it is I'm also interested in getting to the parents, because you can get to the parents through the students,
Right.
which also leads to opportunities for entrepreneurship to develop and blossom as well. So no, it's a very important component of
Yeah, I
what we
think
do.
that would be it. That would be good. I would like to see that done. This young man here, he can really talk
Absolutely,
and
absolutely.
get the wheels spinning for the families too, because it's something that the families can do together.
Right.
That family may have a business concept.
Right, exactly
to
right.
Get everybody involved into it.
And we do have some that in fact do that. I wanted to say one other thing about the comment that was made about going out into the community. One other thing that I'm very proud of, I said a little bit earlier, is we're doing the mentorship mentee program.
Okay.
And so we are actually, and I'm just telling you right now, I'm soliciting right now. This is actually an opportunity for people who have been there and done that, who would like to be formally a mentor, to talk to me at Jumpstart about being joining our program to
Okay.
actually support mentees and entrepreneurs. And we want people to look like our mentees to support that.
Give our audience Jumpstart address, the location, how they can reach you, Lamont.
They can reach me by phone, email. Best way is probably email. It's lamont.mackley@jumpstartinc.org. And Lamont is LAMONT .Mackley, MACKLEY, and it's jumpstartinc.org.
What are the hours at Jumpstart?
So typically we're 9 to 5. However, there are programs and activities going on at Jumpstart almost all the time. So please check our website. That's also www.jumpstartinc.org. And that is a calendar of events. And
I looked on there.
please
Wow.
check that. See, there's another thing. It's opportunities.
Yes.
People need to take it. If they're concerned, even just come to an event.
Event,
Just
yes.
check it out. Just come and get a sense of what we do.
Because I even went on your website and I pulled some of this information off just for myself. I was like, I gotta read all of this. It has in here when should you listen to your starter mentor and questions and dealing with your lawyers and the panel discussion and the
Yes.
17 secrets,
Yeah.
this
That was
information.
that was tremendous. That session we had a banker and 2 entrepreneurs come in, and we had them on a panel. I happened to moderate it, and they came up. They was just giving us the secrets about I mean, that was invaluable. You know,
Yeah.
it gives people a head start in trying to get, you know, somebody else is
The
telling you their
fastest
scars
funding.
that you don't have to deal with. You don't have to reinvent
Right.
this wheel. Don't
Right.
do this. Do this. This is what
Right.
I ran into. You get ahead of the game. Please take advantage of what we offer.
Larry, you have another question before we wrap this up? Because
Well,
I mean,
I have
this
a
is
comment.
just so
I
enlightening.
have a comment. I went to Jumpstart maybe about 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years ago, whatever, and I felt intimidated. But I'm coming back.
All
Lamont,
right. Yay. Thank you. Thank you.
And,
Thank you.
And I have a vision of just helping. One of the things I'm learning about black businesses, they do not know how to advertise. They do not think advertising
Oh.
should be a part of their budget.
Yes.
And so we're the home of the 25-cent advertisement.
25.
Anyone that doesn't
Love it.
advertise for 25 cents,
Okay.
Wow.
a produced ad,
Wow.
something's wrong with you and your business.
That's right.
Exactly.
Definitely.
So
Definitely.
I'll be back.
Thank you.
I'll be back.
And if anybody else felt that, give us another chance. Just put it on
Yes,
me. Put
yes.
it on me.
I definitely.
Say, okay, I'll give Lamont another chance.
Absolutely.
And give Jumpstart another chance.
All right.
Which is
Right
giving
ahead.
yourself a chance.
That's
Keep that in
right.
mind.
That's right.
Take the
That's right.
opportunity
That's
because,
exactly
you know,
right.
it's here, it's free, and it's on you to be who you want to be. So we're going to wrap this up with what's going on with Lady D and Sir John. And we just thank you again
For them.
Well, my
Yes.
pleasure.
all
Thank
this,
you. Thank you.
information, because I had really taken advantage of being at your
And I hope
facility.
all young
And it's just
entrepreneurs who have been listening and afraid to go forward, go forward.
Yes.
Yes.
It's
Yeah,
okay to
jumpstart.
step
Yes.
out, step out of that
Got an
comfort
idea?
zone.
Go forward.
Please.
Yes.
Please do that.
Yes, we're looking for you. We want you. And if you're doing something amazingly wonderful, want to be on our show, be a guest, please contact me at 216-571-2235. Again, that number is 216-571-2235. And come and get your advertising at the home of 25 cents. All right.
Have a great Sunday.
Have a great
Have a blessed
week.
one. Enjoy the
Thank
sun.
you. Thank you so much.